The people who claim to protect you are sometimes the ones orchestrating your destruction. True loyalty isn't found in blood or marriage certificates. It's found in those who tell you the truth when lies would be easier. After 25 years, Marcus learned that the stranger at his door had more integrity than the woman who'd shared his bed for a quarter century. Sometimes God sends angels disguised as strangers to deliver you from the devils dressed as family. Marcus Adebayo was 52 years old, and on December 20th, 2024 at 4:47 p.m., he pulled into the driveway of his home at 1847 Thornwood Lane in Naperville, Illinois, after a 14-hour drive from his mother's funeral in Memphis, and found a woman he'd never seen before standing in his doorway, wearing his wife's robe. His mother, Comfort Adebayo, had passed away on December 15th at age 79 after a sudden stroke. He'd spent the last 5 days in Memphis handling arrangements and burying the woman who'd raised him on a hospital janitor's salary. He called Denise every night. His wife of 25 years had been sympathetic, loving even. She said she couldn't come to the funeral because of work. She was a VP of operations at Hartwell Manufacturing, making $189,000 a year. Now he sat in his Mercedes E-Class, $67,000, paid off last year, staring at a stranger in his doorway. The woman was young, maybe 34, light brown skin, natural hair in twists, wearing Denise's cream silk robe from Nordstrom. She held his coffee mug, the one that said "World's Best Husband." He'd lived in this house for 19 years. They'd bought it in 2005 for $412,000. It was now worth $890,000. He'd made every mortgage payment, $3,200 a month, while building his career as a senior IT director at Meridian Financial Services, where he now earned $218,000 annually. He stepped out of the car. That's when he saw them. 7 suitcases lined up behind the hedges. His suitcases, his clothes inside. The woman told him her name was Imani Porter. She was a paralegal at Whitmore and Associates. And then she told him why his bags were packed. She said his wife had sold his house 3 weeks ago. To her. She closed on December 6th. She owned his home. I know. Your mind is probably spinning right now, just like Marcus's was. A stranger in his doorway. His bags on the curb. His wife nowhere to be found? On the week of Christmas? Before we get into what Imani told him next, I need to ask you for something. Stories like this take me days to research, write, and produce. If you're already hooked, tap that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. I read every single comment, and I'll be shouting out some of you in the next video. Now, let's get back to Marcus. Marcus told her that was impossible. He was on the deed. Denise couldn't sell without his signature. Imani's face hardened. She asked him to come inside. She had documents he needed to see. She said she bought the house from a man named Gerald Okonkwo. He presented himself as the sole owner with documentation, a death certificate for the co-owner, a probate court order. Then she said the words that made Marcus grab the porch railing. According to the paperwork, Marcus Adebayo had been dead since November 3rd, 2024. Heart attack. She said she spent $840,000 on this house. Every penny of her savings, her inheritance, a loan from her parents, everything. Marcus called Denise. The number was no longer in service. He called his daughter Zoe, 24, living in Atlanta. She said Mom had called yesterday about a company Christmas retreat in Scottsdale, December 18th through the 27th. Except in 25 years of marriage, Denise had never gone anywhere over Christmas. Christmas was sacred. He told Imani he needed to call the police. She said they both did. They were both victims here. At 7:23 p.m., Marcus sat in the Naperville Police Department across from Detective Angela Morrison, a 22-year veteran. She told him this was federal crime territory. Fake death certificates, fraudulent probate filings. She was bringing in the FBI. Over the next 72 hours, Marcus learned how thoroughly his wife had erased him. Their joint savings account with $167,000 closed on December 7th. Funds transferred to the Cayman Islands. His 401k, $892,000. A hardship withdrawal request had been submitted on November 15th, before his mother even died, citing his upcoming death. His life insurance, $1.2 million. A death claim filed November 12th, still processing. The FBI assigned Special Agent Robert Chen to the case. He told Marcus that Denise hadn't done this alone. This level of fraud required expertise. They traced the money. $840,000 went to First National Bank on December 6th. By December 10th, it had moved to the Caymans to Singapore. But someone had made a $15,000 cash withdrawal on December 7th at the Oak Brook branch. They had ATM footage. A woman in sunglasses. A wig. But the walk, the gestures, it was Denise. That night, Marcus stayed at the Marriott. $199 per night. He called Zoe and told her everything. She started crying. Then she said something that made Marcus's breath catch. She said Grandma's funeral. Mom claimed she couldn't come because of work. But what if she couldn't face Grandma comfort, knowing what she was about to do? Marcus remembered something. 3 years ago, his mother had warned him. She'd said Denise loved money more than anything. She'd said Denise kept score, every dollar, every advancement. She'd told Marcus to be careful. He'd laughed it off. Mama was old-fashioned. But his mother had seen something he'd missed. Did you catch that? Marcus's mother tried to warn him 3 years ago. Have you ever ignored a warning about someone you loved? Drop a comment. And make sure you're subscribed, because the next twist, I promise you won't see it coming. December 24th, Christmas Eve. Marcus was supposed to be hosting dinner. Instead, he was alone in room 412 at the Marriott, eating a $24 club sandwich, watching snowfall. His phone rang. Unknown number. Patricia Holloway, branch manager at First National Bank. She said she could lose her job for calling. But it was Christmas Eve, and she couldn't let it go. When Denise made that withdrawal, she wasn't alone. A man was waiting in a white Range Rover. When Denise came out, she got on the passenger side, and they drove away together. Patricia knew who he was. A bank client. Jerome Fletcher. Jerome Fletcher, 55. CEO of Hartwell Manufacturing. The man who promoted Denise to VP 3 years ago. The man she described as a visionary leader. The man who'd been sleeping with his wife. Marcus called Agent Chen. He told him about Fletcher and his realization about the timeline. Chen said Marcus was right. Denise couldn't have known his mother would die. The original plan wasn't for him to be in Memphis. Marcus asked why she'd pack his bags at all. Why not just vanish? Chen said it was because she wanted him to know. This wasn't just theft. This was a message. Christmas morning. Marcus woke to a text from an unknown number. It read, "Merry Christmas, Marcus. You were never supposed to come back from Memphis. Mama Comfort Stroke was God's intervention. He gave you a chance to see the truth. Use it wisely. A friend," he called him Monty. She'd found something in the garage. A fireproof lockbox behind the water heater. Inside were financial statements from a Cayman Islands account in Denise's name, opened in 2019. Over 5 years, she deposited $847,000. There were emails between Denise and Jerome Fletcher dating back to 2018. 6 years. The early ones were professional. The later ones were not. And at the bottom, a prenuptial agreement dated 1999, 1 week before their wedding. It bore his signature, except he'd never signed it. He'd never seen it. The agreement stated that if Marcus was proven to concealed assets or engaged in financial deception, all marital property would be forfeited to Denise. Someone had been building a case to destroy him for 6 years. A fake prenup? 6 years of planning? $847,000 hidden away? This wasn't a crime of passion. This was a long game. What do you think Denise is really after? Drop your theory in the comments. Agent Chen arrived within the hour. He said this changed everything. Denise had been systematically building a case to destroy Marcus financially. The folder contained a PI report claiming Marcus had an affair with a woman named Keisha Thomas. Marcus had never heard of her. Chen said Keisha Thomas didn't exist. The photographs were stock photos, digitally altered. The original plan was divorce. Use the fake prenup. the manufactured evidence. But Denise had pivoted to having Marcus declared dead. Cleaner. No lawyers, no fight. Chun pulled up Jerome Fletcher's bank records. In September 2024, Fletcher had withdrawn $400,000, deposited into Denise's accounts. Fletcher had been funding the operation. There was also a lease for a Singapore apartment, $8,500 per month, signed by Denise Fletcher, already using Jerome's name. But there was something else at the bottom of the folder, a receipt from Sentinel Security Services. Client, Comfort Adebayo. His mother had hired a PI to follow Denise. 2 years ago, Chin located the investigator, David Williams. He said Mama Comfort had been a client for 23 months. She'd hired him to document everything, and she'd given him specific instructions. If anything happened to her, make sure Marcus learned the truth. She called Denise on December 14th, the day before her stroke, and confronted her directly. She'd told Denise she knew everything. She was going to expose her at Christmas dinner. 24 hours later, Mama Comfort had a stroke. Marcus felt something break inside his chest. His mother had died trying to save him. His mother knew everything. She confronted Denise directly. And 24 hours later, she was dead. What do you think happened? Tell me in the comments. December 27th. With Williams's files, the FBI had documentation of Denise's entire operation. Jerome Fletcher was traced to the Esperanza Albergues Resort in Cabo San Lucas. $2,400 per night. He'd booked for two. Mexican authorities detained him. During the interview, his composure cracked. He wanted a deal. He said he'd met Denise in 2018. They'd started an affair. She'd told him her marriage was dead, that Marcus was controlling. She'd come to him in 2022 with a plan. Spreadsheets, timelines, forged documents. All she needed was funding. He'd given her about $400,000. She promised to pay him back double once she collected Marcus's insurance. Chin asked if Denise was going to take Fletcher with her to Singapore. Fletcher's silence was answer enough. Denise had used him to fund her escape, and she was going to leave him holding the bag. Jerome Fletcher funded his own betrayal. He gave Denise $400,000, and she was going to leave him behind anyway. Have you ever trusted someone who was just using you? Let me know in the comments. January 2nd, 2025. Marcus stepped off the Singapore Airlines flight after 18 hours. Agent Chin was beside him. Denise had been tracked to a service apartment in the Orchard Road district. $8,500 per month. Under the name Denise Fletcher. Marcus wasn't supposed to be there, but he'd bought his own ticket. He needed to look her in the eye. At 3:47 p.m., officers knocked on Unit 23-04. They led Denise out in handcuffs. She saw Marcus. Her face went through shock, fear, calculation, then hatred. She said he was supposed to be dead. He asked who'd been helping him, who sent the Christmas text. She laughed. She said it was his sainted mother. Comfort Adebayo had hired a PI. She'd had evidence of everything. She was going to expose Denise at Christmas dinner. Marcus said that's why she had the stroke. Denise shrugged. She said Mama Comfort killed herself, getting involved in things that weren't her business. Then she leaned close. She said she'd spent 25 years waiting for him to be worth something. He'd peaked at $218,000 a year. Jerome was making $2.3 million. She said he was never enough. He was never going to be enough. They led her away. Marcus finally understood. It had never been about him. It had been about Denise's hunger, a void that 25 years of marriage couldn't fill. 3 months later, April 5th, 2025, Denise was extradited and charged with wire fraud, identity theft, and conspiracy, held without bail. Jerome Fletcher received 18 months plus restitution. His wife of 30 years filed for divorce. Marcus got his house back. On April 5th, Zoe pulled up for Easter weekend, the first holiday since the Christmas that never happened. She handed him an envelope from Grandma Comfort. Her attorney had sent it with instructions to deliver when the time was right. Marcus opened it. My dear Marcus, if you're reading this, then my work is done. I knew about Denise for 2 years. I hired Mr. Williams because something in my spirit told me she wasn't what she seemed. I planned to tell you at Christmas. I wanted to hold you while your world fell apart, to help you understand this wasn't your fault. You loved her truly. She just wasn't capable of loving you back. Marcus, you were always enough. You were always more than enough. A mother knows her son's worth. Don't let that woman's sickness make you doubt yourself. She was empty inside. But you can't fill a person who won't be filled. Live your life, my son. Find someone who sees you and loves what they see. You deserve that. I love you to the moon and back, Mama. Marcus sat on the porch steps and cried. Zoe sat beside him. She said Grandma saved him. Even after she was gone, she saved him. Sometimes justice comes through courtrooms. Sometimes through surviving. Through refusing to let someone else's darkness extinguish your light. Marcus Adebayo had survived. He'd built a future no amount of manipulation could take away. That was the deepest justice of all. If this story touched you, hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories of betrayal, justice, and family. And drop a comment telling me what part hit you hardest. Mama Comfort's letter? Denise's confession? The lockbox? I read every comment. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.